From the geoarchaeology, just looking at the soils and the landscape and trying to look at putting the site into the landscape that it once resided in. So like down here there is quite clearly a valley which would have had a brook in it. Today it's a winterbourne, though just by looking in the past it's almost definitely in the Roman period. Really quite a large stream. It would have been ideal for ironworking. It wouldn't have had any of this woodland in it at all. It would have been quite clear. And also there are packets of alluvium there, where the sediments have flowed out and the thin veneers of the alluvium. Now that may be because of clearance and vegetation, clearance upstream and agriculture associated with the Roman period, so we might be able to pick that into it. But then in front of me we have the Ouse Valley, and we know that from our work there that although the Ouse Valley has got a huge broad floodplain that just looks like it's a couple of flat fields, we know that actually the alluvium under there is 8 to 10 metres deep, and the Roman layers are probably 3 metres below the present surface. Therefore the whole shape of the landscape has changed. But also the alluvium there is a result of deforestation and Roman farming and prehistoric farming, which have built up the sediments. So the soils have eroded from the hilltops into the valleys, down the river valleys, and then flooded out. So I'm trying to create a picture of the whole landscape by looking at the soils and joining the dots together to try and help the archaeologists put their sites into a slightly broader landscape. In topographical terms, the fact that we're sitting between two valleys, today we think of water as just being, unhelpful, and it's some way a hindrance because we can't cross it or we can't travel up it. In the Roman period, water was much more important because coming up and down the rivers and using them as transport was much more important than roads. It was much easier to transport along a river with a simple boat that most Iron Age and Roman people had. Whereas going along a road would mean you've got to go and walk somewhere, or you've got to have animals to do that. And so the fact we're overlooking two river systems means that we can get wood and items up and down the river to site, we can transport people to site, and the fact there's a road here is the important thing. And as a consequence of that, we have had activity here, and the activity here has therefore sculpted this landscape by helping infill some of those valleys, by hiding the original shape of this, and by unpeeling those sediments we can start to understand the story of what's happened in this landscape.